So you've fallen off. You lost all the momentum and now you're here. Before you click off, I just want to tell you, you're here for a reason. You shouldn't feel shame or guilt. You should be grateful. Let's have a real conversation now, all right? I believe you're putting your idolized version of yourself on a pedestal, or you can say your best version of yourself on a pedestal, meaning you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to perform the best, right? And of course, you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious about your future because you don't know how it's going to be played out. This is where the problem begins because you go back into that cheap dopamine spiral. You go back into death scrolling. You go back into numbing your pain. Of course, it's much easier to lay down on your bed, to stay on your gaming chair, play video games, to do all the bad habits because it's so much easier. You get that instant pleasure right off the bat. Your dopamine spikes up like crazy. It feels like you're achieving things. In reality, you don't want your life to go all the way to a whole different direction where you feel like you're not going to be able to make it out. You're not going to be able to provide for your family. You're not going to be able to provide for yourself. Listen, this should hurt you. If you know you're going into a state of mind where you're constantly thinking negatively, you're constantly going on social media to scroll, you know your attention span is getting worse by every second when you visit social media, the social media platforms. You know, the social media platforms are there to grab your attention. It's there to really profit off of your attention. Your attention's super valuable. And I believe you're just in a state where you don't know what to do, and that's okay. But the answer isn't to scroll on social media. It isn't to play video games. It isn't to do any of the bad habits. Naturally, human beings are wired to being comfortable, right? We want the comfort. But you know that if you get out of your comfort zone, you will grow. You will develop your character. You'll start to learn more skills. You start to develop more traits. You start to develop that charismatic personality, all of that. Doesn't that excite you? I don't want you to be scrolling. After this video, what I want you to do is go outside for a good 15 to 30 minutes for a walk. As you can see at the back, the sun is hitting the wall. I literally went outside for a good 15 to 20 minutes. I watched the sun rise. It was extremely beautiful. It was lovely. I was present. I was able to breathe fresh air and have a great time. When was the last time you did that? I get it. It's hard to live, but don't be cooped up in your room. Experience going outside in nature. Be grateful for every moment, okay? Consistency is key too. I believe so many people need to realize they put a lot of pressure on themselves, but they don't understand the consistency. They think everything needs to come in a short period of time. For example, you feel like 100K should come to you in 10 days or something, or in a day. But in reality, your first 100K is going to be difficult to make. Let's be real here. Okay? And making your first 10K is going to be difficult. Making your first 1,000 is going to be difficult. Making your first $100 is going to be difficult. But after you make that first 100K and you use it wisely, you'll start to realize money is not difficult to earn eventually. You might go through a period where nothing's working out, but that's okay. Because every day you gotta understand you're learning something. If you're always putting yourself through discomfort, if you're always learning, if you're constantly improving yourself, then know you will live the best life that you want. If you're able to visualize your idolized version, right? Or the best version of yourself, you could definitely achieve it. It's all about your mindset. But remember, consistency is key. Let it compound over the years, the decades. You're not going to gain success in a year or two. You might, but it won't last forever. Just remember, everything's going to be all right. Focus on yourself. Don't let yourself go through that phase where you're scrolling on social media, you're playing video games, you're doing all the bad habits, because it feels great in the moment, but you know, if you could delay gratification as much as you can, your future self is going to be proud of of your past self for putting in the work, the younger self of putting in the work. So of course that sounds way better, right? It's way harder too. Of course you don't want to hit the gym workouts. Of course you don't want to meditate. Of course you don't want to read. Of course you don't want to do any of your schoolwork. You don't want to work, whatever the case is. But your future self will thank your past self, your younger self. That should excite you. Everything should motivate you. If you're in a situation where you're not making enough money, that should motivate you. If you're in a situation where you feel like nothing's working out, that should motivate you to get things done, to actually get results. Start looking at situations where you can find a small part where it can motivate you, because that will truly help you to move towards your goals. Just remember to take it easy and everything will be fine.